Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Small Talk. I'm Amy, this is my partner Maggie, together we're ThinkerThemer, and this is the series where we chat about life, we answer some infrequently asked questions, IAQs from all of you, and we talk through, generally speaking, 5 filler or lighter style games. Now, this week, well, not much has changed here in Melbourne. We're still in lockdown.
Yeah, but not for long.
But hopefully not for too much longer. But we always start this episode with a bit of, some postcards. Because we asked for you all to send us postcards. If you're used to our usual background when we do game reviews or back chat, we have a beautiful wall of postcards, which we will forever be grateful for because they bring so much love and joy into our world, into our little studio space. But this week, actually, all of the postcards are from Canada.
Oh, yeah. It's a Canada week.
Canada is representing.
Yeah. Strong on the board. All right. Do you want me to start?
Yes, please.
All right. So the first one is from Montreal, beautiful Montreal. And this is from Pierre. Now, Pierre says, I love your channel and you're doing a great job. Now, Pierre is often in the comments.
Pierre is a frequent commenter.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you so much. Montreal, been there several times. I got family there. I will probably be going back. We will probably be going back.
Actually, you went there without me in 2019.
I did, yes.
Yeah, to see family.
I spent a couple of weeks there just with family. Love it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful city.
Thank you for the postcard.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Pierre. Mine is a postcard, but also you may notice that we're wearing T-shirts.
It's a full care package.
Full outfit and socks.
Yes.
I
you probably won't
really
be able to
awkward,
see them.
but there's
They'll be
socks
blurry.
that match the T-shirts.
Yes.
And this is from Shelby, one of the Joey fam, and who has become a good friend of ours, chatting in the comments at first and now in the Discord and playing games together. And Shelby is based in Saskatchewan. We did practice that before.
And we probably still got it wrong.
We probably still got it wrong.
Saskatchewan is the attempt.
Yeah, which is the province. And Shelby actually lives in Regina and has written us a beautiful letter, which I won't read all of it, but let's see. What I wanted to say was a huge congratulations and thank you. The huge success of your channel. Thank you for all you do to build inclusivity, community, and visibility within the hobby. Your channel and the Joey fam have been a bright spot during a tough year. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
the other amazing thing that Shelby did, other than send us these gorgeous T-shirts, which is also, I should say, this is the provincial floral emblem that you can see here, which is the prairie lily. Yeah. So there you go.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. These T-shirts are amazing. They're actually really lovely.
They're so comfortable.
They're really lovely. And the socks, and we're like, these are really nice socks.
I'm a big socks person. I love good socks and I love colorful socks. So this is just like perfection.
So we'll probably live in these now.
Until they have holes in them, they're falling apart. Yeah, so wear them all the time.
But Shelby also sent us some postcards for our wall, and these are photos that she took in her local area. So they are amazing. Cool. Shelby has lots of hidden talents because Shelby writes here, Amy, thanks for all of the great painting tips because she recently got into miniature painting and for bringing Eurovision into my life. Together we watched Eurovision, which was the first experience of Eurovision for Shelby.
It's a good introduction. It's a whole world of joy.
It is. Yeah. And Australians love Eurovision.
Yeah, they're pretty I should say we're pretty crazy about it. But coming into Australia and learning it as an outsider, it was it's quite magical, the whole Eurovision thing.
Yeah, it is. And Shelby writes to you, Maggie, thanks for the awesome solo gaming content and for having as many hobbies as I do.
Yes.
Which is
kindred spirits.
Yeah, you're both very musical and
it's new rabbit hole. Exciting.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Shelby, for taking the time to not only send us these amazing homemade postcards, but also our complete get-up and outfit for this special episode. So thank you very much.
Yes. Now, my last one is from Winnipeg, and this is a photo of the Human Rights Museum, again, in Canada. And this one's from Dwayne. So thank you, Dwayne. Now, Dwayne says, I love oceans, So naturally, I live in the geographical center of Canada. Absolutely love your channel. Never miss an episode. I'm the only themer in my game group, but also love mechanics as well. So that's nice. Yeah,
representing
the themer, but also, not like appreciating all aspects of a game. This is a great card. Thanks so much for that, Dwayne.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. So Canadians, thank you so much for representing in this episode.
Yeah.
Now, this is the part where we go into some IAQs, so infrequently asked questions.
Yes.
Sometimes they're frequently asked, but mostly they're just asked once, and we like to answer them.
Is this a reflection of how efficient we are at getting to them, so we don't let them pile up?
No, not really.
It's just there's not that many, so we're happy to tackle them.
They're many and varied. So I first wanted to talk about, because last episode we spoke about our silent disco.
Yes.
Sometimes when we watch TV shows together, we have been wearing a headset, our own headphones, and pressing play at the same time.
Syncing the time and then going, yep, we're ready.
And I was talking about how it's because I don't like to watch in the company of others, because it's a very it's me time. I find it very distracting.
Very themer of you, like full immersion. Yeah, you like that immersion. Yeah.
No, I think it's because I find it so hard to listen and be part of a story that I need complete focus.
Oh, okay, yes, it's the opposite.
It's the opposite, complete focus.
Yeah.
But a few people wrote in, actually quite a lot of people wrote on that last episode.
So that is actually frequently asked.
Sorry?
That was a frequently asked.
Well, no, not the question. They wrote telling us how they watch ThinkerThemer.
Yes,
and there were so many different ways of watching it. A lot of TV viewing, which you were scared about.
Horrified, because I don't want to see this in big screen.
It's like 65-inch, like big screen, high definition.
Too much. This needs a soft
need to brush
glow,
my hair a bit
like what is it, like 50s sort of glamour blur that the female actresses of the time would use.
Yeah, please watch us on a tiny,
just put Vaseline on the lens and just everything is
blur it out.
Yeah.
Also, like the rituals at night, like having a meal while watching. But then some people, watching at double speed and on their way to work and that kind of thing, or in their lunch break. And so however you watch ThinkerThemer, thank you so much for watching and for sharing how you experience the show, because that is amazing for us. But interestingly, Sissy from Montreal, actually another Canadian, there you go.
Canada is just on the board all day, every day. Good stuff.
Actually said that they can't watch when other people are around either, because they're too aware of other people's emotions. And that actually really resonated with me, because I'm very hyper socially aware, and I get really impacted if someone is like not having a good time or someone else is distracted. Like that, I'm really kind of in tune with that. And whereas you are not as much about like what's happening around you, you're very good at being in your own little bubble.
I guess it depends. Like if it's, the only time would be if, that thing where you're like, oh, I really want this person to watch this, and you've already seen it. If that's the kind of viewing and they're like then on their phone or they're distracted, then that's distracting, because it's like, well, the whole point of this is for us to experience this together. But if we are watching something for the first time, I guess I'll be more invested, in whatever the story is and what's going on, than whether someone...
but if you're on your phone and we're watching something together, I find that super distracting.
I think if it's too clear that the other person is completely tuned out, then and you're doing this sort of together, it's a together activity, then it's a checking in and going, hey, do you still want to watch this? Should we watch something else?
Or what if the other person finds it, I think if you find something really funny, then I'm more likely to find it funny. Like you get that kind of like energy.
It's that added,
Or if I'm scared, do you get scared? No. Because I'm always scared.
I get protective. I'm like, oh, babe. And like I can't try.
What were we watching? We watched Squid Game, of course, like the rest of the world, and it was amazing. And then we got on to
Alice
Did you not think it was amazing?
I thought it was good, but I'm not like, oh my God. Like I'm like, whatever.
I really enjoyed it. And there's a season 2 coming.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They did,
Anyway, we watched that, and then of course, Netflix recommended to us their previous show that was kind of like that, Alice in Borderland. And I'm finding that a little bit too scary.
Yeah, it's in moments. It's probably, because it's probably got more suspense.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
There's more suspense.
In a lot more darker scenes and
So I've been struggling a little bit with that. I had to fast forward through some bits.
Yeah, she did.
But we got there. We got through.
Yeah.
So
no, but the laughing, like going back to that laughing, if something is really particularly getting someone going, like laughing a lot, it's like you start laughing because you kind of like, it's infectious. It's like, oh, yeah.
Definitely.
The other thing is like, it's the crying when there's an emotional scene and you're just like, you're so focused on the screen and you're just kind of like, you know, dealing with whatever's coming up for you. And then you have that moment of like, should I let it go? Should I not? Should I fight it? I wonder if like Amy's also crying.
We're always both crying.
Yeah.
Like as soon as there's something slightly emotional, we look over and we're both like,
yeah. Sometimes it takes you by, like, I don't know if like I'll hear the, it's like, oh yeah, it got her too.
So usually I just see them wiping away, like, and we're both like really silent.
Yeah,
we're both silently crying in the corner.
Yeah,
but we do cry in a lot of shows. Like, we're pretty emotional.
I feel like now, I didn't used to. I used to exit sign. So that was a strategy that my mom had taught me growing up, and which is like, and I don't
condone,
subscribe to this idea anymore. But like my entire childhood, there was this thing of like, you know, if there was anything that made you feel a little bit emotional, you would just distract yourself so you don't actually feel it and you don't get emotional.
The healthy way.
Suppress it. So it's not even like a suppress, it's like it's a distraction, distract. To the point, and we call it now exit signing, because I remember being in a movie theater, and so in a movie theater, there's no escape. Like the screen is huge, and you're sitting there, and the music and the audio, everything is sort of overwhelming. And so my mom saw that I was starting to get emotional, and she's like, just look at the exit sign. Just look at the exit sign, and that'll kind of take you out of it. And so that became exit signing. And then when I went to New York and I studied filmmaking, and but actually after that I kind of studied acting, and I studied method acting, which is all about getting in contact with every single emotion and aspect. And then I went through like the leaky faucet syndrome, which is when you're just like, you're crying at the drop of a hat, like for anything. And I was like, Mom, you're missing out. Like there's a whole realm of emotions that you're not experiencing. So I feel like now I'm at a point where it's not all the time, but if it sort of comes up, I'm like, I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to allow it to happen and let it have its place. And
And so that's a common saying in our household.
Exit signing.
Someone is exit signing, which means that they are avoiding thinking about something.
Yeah, distracting yourself from feeling. Not something that I would recommend, not something that I live by. It has its moments, I guess, potentially, but I try to now live my life, you know, as authentically and emotionally in the moment as I can. Yeah.
So I had asked for a lot of new questions in the last episode, and you all delivered. Thank you so much for sending in so many questions for us this week.
Coming.
So we do have a lot of questions to get through. But a few people, there was a common theme with some of the questions that people really want to test where our differences are. People really want to see, they want to drive a wedge between us.
They want drama. They want the
drama. You're only here for the drama.
Throwing, what is it? Like, not cutlery, that's really violent. Throwing plates and smashing in the...
They're like, hey, you two seem pretty happy. Let's change that.
less of that. We
need less of that and more controversy.
More drama.
More drama. Okay, so more difference of opinion. Okay, let's see how we go. Okay, so Scylla asks, how do we deal with playtesting or trying games that only one of us is excited about?
That's a good one. Okay, so I think sometimes... now we've gotten to the point where even when we're reading the rule book, because usually one of us will read the rules and then teach the other, or sometimes we kind of try and do it together. But we now know at the rule book points, like, this is going to be a you game, or this is going to be a me game, or this is looking pretty interesting. We might both enjoy it. I think it's probably more when we have the first game, particularly if it's a game that either one of us is like, nah, I hated this. Then, like, I've had my stroppy moments where, like, we have to kind of bring each other in check and go, now, you know, don't let your emotions color the experience and kind of ruin the experience.
For the other person.
Yeah, for the other person especially. Yeah. And because also, like, we're not going to stop at playing it once. Like, we want to play multiple times. And it's like, well, if you're then kind of playing it multiple times and you're just kind of having this, like, grumpy thing the whole way through, it's like, this is not going to be enjoyable. So we do that, like,
There are games where we know that we're not going to enjoy them. Like, for example, if there is an abstract game, Maggie is definitely doing me a favor by playing the game with me, because I'll be like, I really want to try it, and so Maggie has to kind of like grin and bear it. And there are probably games like that. If it's a little like immersive or
if there's
long-winded
story
reading, then I will attempt to play along for as long as I can. But we generally don't, because it says the next part of the question: are there games we refuse to play with each other? So when there's a new game, generally the other person will just be like, okay, you want to play it, so we'll play it. But once we've gotten through the trial of games, I think there's probably some games that we refuse to play with each other. We made a list of the top 10 games that made our relationship stronger. A few of the games are listed in there, and generally they're games that Maggie refuses to play with me, because those games, or with anyone, because those games have a lot of take that, or they're kind of meaner games. Like something like Blockus is a game that Maggie just flat out refuses to play.
I'll still continue to humor it and play it, but it's like I don't enjoy any moment that I'm playing it. I'm like,
you complain when someone
eye rolling my way through it.
You complain if I say let's play Blockus, then you like make yourself scarce by like leaving the room or going outside, or like
it's like if there's a group of people and it's like, and I'm like, you play,
have fun, bye, I'm going to go do something else.
I'll amuse myself with something else.
Are there any games that I refuse to play with you?
Not really. Not flat out refuse.
Not really. No. I mean, there are games that I just don't like.
I keep trying to get you to play Paleo. And
no, I do want to play that.
That's also a bit more like a time thing.
It is, and also it is cooperative.
It is cooperative,
That is just a mental barrier for me. I know, we'll get there.
Yeah.
No, I do want. I'm not refusing to play that.
Yeah, that's true.
Just haven't
it's
got
not
there.
no. It's just like
It's also probably just lower on the list.
Let's play
it's lower on the list because it's cooperative, and I don't really love to cooperate. No, I was just thinking there is another game. Imperium.
Oh, yes. Yeah, classics and legends.
I mean, for me, it was just way too multiplayer solitaire for my taste in games.
Yeah, it also went too long. Like it when you're playing multiplayer. Well, even when you're playing solo, it just goes a little bit long in the second act, I'll call it.
Yeah, but there are games that I guess get relegated to being solo games in this household. So I would play if Maggie was like, please, can you play? But generally speaking, she's very happy playing solo. Potentially happier.
Also, like, there's always potentially happy. Potentially my happy place all by myself.
Actually, we were playing a game the other day, and I said, "Oh, are you having fun playing it solo?" And you're like, "Yeah, it's a great time." I was like, "What makes it so good?" And she's like, "Oh, because there's just less other person." I was like, you mean less me, because I'm the only other person.
It's usually because there's less downtime. I'm not good with patience. It's one of those things that I'm still working on. So
I don't think you're getting better, though. I think you're getting worse. Anyway, we've got so many questions. I've got so many questions for you.
Actively working on.
Are there games we only play with other people and not with each other?
Well, obviously games that are just 3-player plus.
Yeah. So
or that are better at higher player counts.
Yeah.
Like for example, like Great Western Trail, for example.
Yeah.
It's like that's a game that like we really, really enjoy at multiplayer. I would never really think of pulling it out to play just the two of us.
Yeah, we do play Big Euros sometimes, just the two of us, but it's not our preference.
No.
Like we'd rather play with 3 or 4 people. Let's see, what else do we have? And do they stay in our collection? So yes. Yeah. If one of us loves it and the other one hates it, it's still staying in our collection, which is becoming more and more of a problem as our tastes diverge, because it means there's less reason to get rid of a game.
Yeah.
So our collection is getting bigger.
Now I'm getting more discerning, I guess, and going, even if I love the game and I know realistically I'm not going to get back to it for a while, I'm not a collector. So I would be more comfortable going, if I know that I'm not, even though I really enjoy this game, particularly if it's like a solo narrative type adventure, I'm very unlikely to go back to it again. So I feel like once I've played one of those like big sort of games, I would probably be, if it's possible to move it along and sell it, I probably would. And then it's like, if I desperately want to play it again, then I'll just rebuy it again.
She says this, but she constantly saves them from the culling pile. So.
I think it's probably more just like, because I find it too confronting to sell, like do the secondhand selling and like negotiating with people.
No, even when I'm doing it, you save games. Yeah, you do. maybe you want to.
Wait, is this one of
be
those agreements?
minimalist.
Is this the drama?
Oh, look at the drama happening.
Watch out.
So
I just put a drama meter. It's like yeah.
A Frank says, is there a game that one of us loves and the other dislikes? So very similar. Divisive opinions generally tend to be on games that are highly multiplayer solitaire, of which Maggie loves and I don't love.
Yeah.
I love interaction. Solo games are obviously just Maggie and not me. Cooperative games tend to fall in solo or not at all in our house.
Yeah.
And
So
abstract for me.
Yeah, like so Paris, La Cité de la Lumière, and which you loved, and I was like,
love that game.
Like it's there's
Such
so much
a great
take that,
game.
and it's beautiful, but so much like it's very abstract.
And mechanically just incredible.
Yeah, but I'm like, no,
Love that game.
not for me. And Stratego, which we did very, very recently. Again,
Last
you were
episode.
loving it.
I was.
And
I was
like,
having a
no.
great time.
I was like,
You were laughing.
I was
though.
laughing because it's so like, bomb. But I wasn't like, it's not my choice of enjoyment.
Yeah, I would say though that most games in our collection we both enjoy.
Yeah.
Because we do, even though there's all those differences on the fringe, we both like tend to love a strategic dry Euro, and so there are a lot of games in our collection that we both like to different degrees, but generally we can come together and enjoy those types of games together.
I think for me also part of what makes a game enjoyable is that we have a great experience together when we play it. And so if someone's really hating life the whole way through, it's like, well then like if that's where the case with you, it's like unless then it's something that I can play by myself, it's like I'm not going to want to keep that around. Yeah.
And then Sarah from the Board Game Barbecue, who's also a good friend of ours, have you ever pretended to like a game or like a game more than you do because the other person did?
No, I haven't. Oh my goodness.
I'm thinking. I don't think we pretend with each other. I don't think we're nice enough to pretend with each other. We're just like, nah.
Because where my mind went, it's like it's in a couple dynamic. It's like how much do you like things that you might fake for the benefit of the other. And I think we have gotten to a place of like such a trust level that is like I know that I can honestly say like what I'm thinking and feeling and not feel like, oh well then it means that Amy's going to love me less or think less of me or like.
I think Sarah was caught off guard because she said of her partner, oh, we both love this game, and her partner was like, no I don't. And she was like, so that caught her by surprise. Yeah. I think that's the other thing is sometimes we play a game together because we try not to dampen each other's experience, that sometimes it really does catch me off guard where Maggie's like, nah, I hate that game. I'm like, what? But if I ask you, you generally will say,
I'll tell you. It's like, no, not for me.
And I think we really have gotten better at identifying which style of games each of us is going to like.
Yeah.
Nicole asks, which one of you is funnier?
Amy will say that she's funnier. Amy thinks she's the funniest person on the face of the earth.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, well, Amy thinks Amy is funnier.
Yeah. Amy thinks Amy is
100%.
hilarious. For the longest time, and it still happens, I like she's got such a dry sense of humor that it'll come across like it's not a joke. And then I'll be like, oh, that's really, that's really mean, or that's really like, and then it's like, no, it's a joke. It's like, okay, then that's funny. But it's like the delivery is so deadpan that took me probably years.
It did take you years. I would
relationship.
say we've been together for 10 years, but I think the first 5 was spent with me going, I'm joking.
Be like, that's funny. Yeah. Now I think the thing that I find the funniest is seeing her crack up a joke that she just thought, or something that she just thought was funny in her head. She's like, I'm so funny. And so like, I find that funny. I find that really amusing.
You also find me really funny, don't
Yeah,
you?
she's got great home runs from time to time. Yeah.
I think that you've become drier in your sense of humor as well, because probably my influence is a bit more sarcastic, and we are both very sarcastic. But the thing is, I think we're both always making each other laugh.
Yeah, that's what your sister said.
Yeah, she's like, you two are just always giggling. It's like listening to two people at like school camp or something.
Yeah.
Just like cracking up laughing.
Yeah.
And yeah, we do laugh a lot. And we do have a very similar sense of humor. So now
that I get when she's joking.
Now.
Yeah.
And I because Maggie's always like, you find yourself so funny.
So funny. Like that is pretty funny. That's
babe, I said the funniest thing earlier. Let me recap the conversation with you and about just how funny I was. But imagine if you found yourself not at all funny. I mean, that would be really tough going through life being like, well, that wasn't funny.
Yeah, that would be
like, don't you
less
have to?
amusing.
Don't you have to find yourself funny?
Well, only if fun is one of the things that drives you. If fun is one of the things that drives you, because for some people it might be like, that was really clever. I'm happy at myself for being so clever about. I think the big point of this is all like, it's all individual preferences.
It is.
I think I used to be funnier, or try to be funny. Like I used to use humor as a way of connecting with people and as a diffuser and like I have a very often expressive face, and I feel like I would go above and beyond to try and make people laugh. And I think as I got older and I stopped trying to like, everyone has to love me, or I need to kind of get people's approval, that kind of sort of, I chilled out in that department. And so now it's like I more enjoy when something naturally happens, or if I just feel inspired to like do a crazy face or something, but I'm not looking for it, and I'm not like,
So Nicole, I'm funnier. I'm funnier because I'm funnier.
According to Amy.
And because Maggie is trying to be
because
less
I've
funny.
stopped trying. I've given up.
She's given up.
So it's just like, Amy is funny because she thinks she's funny, and also by default.
We have a good time. Who is more likely to pull pranks? Neither of us.
Yeah, we're not.
Neither of us.
I hate surprises. So that would...
You do. And I actually don't like being the, like, kind of... I don't like pranks being pulled on me. I find that very confronting.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
I don't like being scared.
Yeah. I'm very risk averse as well. So it's like a prank usually will often have an element of like, it's a prank is often at your expense or at the expense of the person. And again, it's kind of like in competitive stuff where it's like, I'm not like with that sort of stuff. It's like, I don't like being in that space, nor being in the receiving end of that space.
Yeah.
So I think that's why there's not really a lot
If we had to say who, it would probably be me doing something to Maggie. Yeah. The other day, Maggie had the hiccups, and but she actually said out loud, "Oh, I wish there was something I could do about my hiccups." And so, like a ninja, I moved across the house and I was standing right behind her.
She just jumped and screamed right on my ear. And it was like, is it goats that do the whole like, like that?
Yeah,
that's what
but you jumped so high, and then she just went.
I was like, not like real crying, just like crying, just it was just like sad. The little scared kid inside going,
and then she hiccuped.
And they still didn't go
And then
away.
she hiccuped, so it didn't work. But not really in general, just pulling pranks for the sake of it. No. Okay, so that's the end of like trying to divide opinion between us. But I do have a million other questions. So we're going to do some rapid fire questions.
I'll try rapid
Maggie
fire.
has not seen these questions. So let's go. Michelle asks, what's your audiobook recommendation?
So, well, I think at the moment, like I listen to a whole range of different topics.
Because you have a book club going with my family.
Well, that is in shambles because I thought it'd be a really cute thing to do a book club for your mom's birthday. So instead of it just being like one book that I give you as a birthday present, it's like it's going to be like six different books, one a month. And so we started that, but then we never actually, so like we started the books going, but then we never caught up to talk about.
Never spoken about it because then my sister joined in.
Yes.
And not me because I don't really read that much.
No, you're not into fiction.
At all. But yeah, my sister joined in and then she was a little bit behind. And so you're all reading different books at different times.
I take full blame on this. This is me being a crap book club hostess.
Yeah. But you listen to audiobooks as part of that.
But and part of that is because obviously like I'm always like walking with Boston, and so I listen to them at like times like usually at point like 2.2 is my ideal.
Oh, really?
Sometimes it depends on the narrator's voice, but 2 or 1.8 if it's too hard to understand. And then it means that you can get through books so quickly. But one of the more recent ones that I enjoyed as an audiobook was The Midnight Library, which was read, I believe, by, is it Carey Mulligan, the actress from, well, a whole range of different things. Pride and Prejudice, like she was played one of the sisters, but more recently it was A Promising Young Woman. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so now, like, and she's got such a great kind of raspy voice that now I can't imagine, like, I want to see that become a movie, which it probably will, because obviously, like, The Midnight Library is a huge bestseller. But like now I can't imagine it being anybody else but her. Like I would want her to play the lead in that. So I really enjoy that. But a big trigger warning, because there are some sensitive topics in there. Like, yeah. So just do some due diligence before you go in there. But what else? Audiobooks. Yeah, that in fiction. What was the other one? The Malibu Rising. I enjoyed as well. Another one read by a female voice. I really enjoy, female voice. And a lot of the ones that have male voice narrating, it's like I'm doing a lot of kind of coaching, like learning a lot of coaching skills, or because that's a lot of the stuff that I do with work.
Okay. Craig asked, what's the hardest game we own? Hardest to play, hardest to learn. Hardest to learn, and he did note this, it was definitely Oath.
Yes, that
by
had a steep learning curve.
Was our hardest to learn.
I wouldn't say it's the hardest to play. Once you know how to play, it's like
definitely hardest to learn, not the hardest to play. Just getting through that rule book and the different style of rule book that is. Yeah, that was quite difficult.
I would agree with that.
Hardest to play.
Hardest to play. I guess because hard in what way? Like hard in the because I think hard in terms of like layers and layers of strategy. Probably. So it'd be more of a, complex game. So it'd probably be like a Lacerda or...
Yeah, I don't find... Once I get going with a Lacerda, I don't find them too hard to play. Like, it's quite intuitive to me.
Yeah. But there's lots of different levels and layers going on.
Yeah. There's definitely games that we find harder to get to the table, but that's because... I guess maybe the theme or the fact that they are a little bit complex. Like something like City of the Big Shoulders, for example, is a game that really only you and I would play together, even though it would be more optimal at higher player count. It's just not the style of game that I think our friends would be able to get into, because it's not a strong, fun theme.
Yeah. And again, we haven't really done this, but I think like an 18xx would be harder to play in that there's so much going on, but I haven't actually played one. Yeah. So I can't really, just in terms of like,
some of the Splotter games as well are probably like a bit harder to teach, because they kind of are a little bit different in the way that they work. Something like Food Chain Magnate is, Clinic was... that was harder to...
No, it was hard to wrap your head around, and there was like a couple like the adjacencies and stuff was more finicky to remember, but the actual things that you're doing is not that hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's a really hard question.
That's a hard question.
Hard question about hard games. A more fun question that Craig asked, or an easier question,
I should say.
A fun question. That was a fun question, sorry.
That was a hard question.
But about a fun topic is, do we like roller coasters and theme parks?
I used to love roller coasters and theme parks.
We were actually just talking about this because we were talking about the fact that we've never been to Miami or Florida. Sorry, I haven't. With you. We have not been together.
Yeah.
You've got family there.
I do, yes.
And we were talking about maybe one day getting there and how we might go to the theme parks.
Yes. I was the type of kid that would just like get on a ride, and then as soon as it would finish, like go straight again and be like, today I managed to do 9 times on this like one crazy roller coaster ride. I think now as I'm older, my motion sickness. And I was saying, like, remember there's that episode in Modern Family where Phil has that same realization where he'd always loved roller coasters, and then now he's taking his son and he can't keep up with it because he's getting this like, well, yeah, that's me.
I always struggle with the roller coasters, not so much the actual roller coaster itself. I love that, the thrill of all the roller coaster, but because I'm quite short, like, you know, when your head is like in the shoulder thing and you're like whacking your head backwards and forwards, like, that's not that is the worst. And I imagine now that I'm older, I just wouldn't be able to cope with that. I would just be like, now I've got a migraine.
Yeah.
But I actually really do love theme parks. We've been to Disney. I've been to Disneyland in Japan.
I've been to Disney World. and a lot of the...
You've never been to...
No.
We've never been to Disneyland together?
No, we haven't.
Oh, yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
I've been to Disneyland in California a couple of times, the one in Japan. We went to Disneyland Sea in Japan, which was not a great experience.
That was not a great...
No, that was a terrible day.
Yeah.
Because the queues were just so long and we didn't end up going on anything, maybe like 1 or 2 rides.
Everything's like, come back at 5 p.m. It's like, it's 9 a.m. What am I going to do for the rest of the day?
There's nothing to do.
Yeah, it's just the sheer volume of people or in the queues.
We've never been to like a huge like thrill kind of park in the US. Like what are they called? The flag ones?
Oh, Six Flags?
Six Flags?
Yeah, I've never been to a Six Flags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're meant to have like more extreme rides and things. We've never done that.
No. I've been to all the Disney one, not necessarily Land, but like Epcot Center and like all of those sort of ones back in the day. Like I can't even imagine what that would be now.
Yes, but we do love roller coasters and theme parks and would definitely go to one if there was one nearby. Sergio asked for an update on BGStats. So we do track all of our plays and I've been doing that for probably the last couple of years. And so just a quick update. In 2021, so this year so far,
oh boy,
we've played 141 games, of which 132 were new to us.
Yeah, okay.
So that is like to me that because we didn't used to play as many new games. So we've learned 132 new games pretty much because most of those games were in lockdown, just between the two of us. Since I've started tracking, you and I have played together over 500 times. Maggie wins 31% of the time against me. And of the total games that I've played, because I track my games with Maggie, with other people, my win percentage is 57%. So a little better than if you flipped a coin. A little better. Like maybe you would...
If it's the two of us playing, then your odds are definitely should go on Amy. Like that is a 70-30.
Yeah, but it really depends on which game we're playing. But then also Sergio asks, do we keep score pads in the box or sheets for our roll and writes? And is that for memories of cool plays or high scores? So yes.
I think, we usually do because it means that then we can compare and see how if we've gotten better or worse. We were selling our copy of Great Western Trail so that we could get the new version. And I was like going through it and it had all the score pads of like all these games that we'd have with the same group of friends. So our usual gaming group. And it was so nostalgic just to see them all there and see who won. And I really like it from a memory perspective. I really like when you play with the same group again and you open up the box and there's your last game because then you're like, oh, that's right. I had a really terrible game or a really great game. So I really do love that. It's been taken over a little bit by the fact that we now track it in here, so I can always look it up. But I still like keeping them there. Roll and writes, we tend to throw out the sheets. I don't look at those as much. So good for memories and high scores, and thank you for that question. Sis asks, how do we deal with players who are AP prone or take ages? I think we've spoken about this maybe before. Me. Look, okay. It's acceptable.
You know what I don't like? In BGA, when you play together, it shows you at the end the thinking time that each player took, and definitely mine is usually double that of Maggie's. So, what you feel is true.
And this is like me taking breaks, going and having a cup of tea.
So usually we're pretty patient as a gaming group. We're pretty patient. But if someone's taking a long time, it's usually like, come on, we're going to have to put a timer on you.
Yeah, we've never actually gone to that extreme.
No, but we do say it to kind of urge
Call
them
it
on.
out.
Yeah. Mirko asks, what is our favorite food? And specifically says, Maggie, is it arepas? Anything from Venezuela? IAQs, carne mechada?
I love arepas. It's not my favorite food though.
Arepas are fun. If you don't know what they are, they're like the Venezuelan taco. That's probably blasphemous to say. But
it is kind of accurate, I guess.
Because it's like a cornmeal-based dough, and then you make these little pockets.
Yeah, and you can put anything in them.
Fill them with deliciousness.
Versatile, and you can have them for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So it's really like a perfect vehicle for any filling.
What do you usually have in them though? Beans? cheese.
So my go-to is usually like reina pepiada, or like beans. I love black bean domino, like black beans and cheese together. If not, there's like shredded meat. The other one is it perico? I can't remember. And it's like egg, so it's like scrambled eggs with
for breakfast
up,
or just
usually for breakfast. Yeah, with usually with like a bit of tomato and things like that in it. Delicious.
You like a tequeño.
Tequeños are the best. That's like a cheese finger, but it's very specific with the type of dough that you use around the outside. That is delicious. That is something that I haven't really had here in a long time.
I know one day when it's safe to do so, we will hopefully be able to go to Venezuela or try some.
I wouldn't go to Venezuela now because it's obviously quite dangerous.
But it's a shame because it seems like such a beautiful country.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But I also don't have any family left there.
Everyone's left.
Yeah, well, also I was born there, but I never had family there. So my dad and all his family are from Brazil, and my mom and all her family are from the Dominican Republic. So they just kind of met and then moved to Venezuela. They had me there. And then kind of, after they kind of split up.
Okay, so we're not going to Venezuela. That means you have to continue to make me Venezuelan food.
Correct. But I didn't actually say what my favorite food was.
Oh, sorry.
It's controversial.
I think that's asking both of us, actually.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But is yours Venezuelan?
No. It's not, actually, even though Venezuela does have amazing, beautiful food. For some reason, I love like a French entrecote with the shoestring fries and that kind of green sauce.
It's so weird because you're not a huge meat eater.
No, but it's like that one particular dish. It's just, I love it.
What is my favorite food? I love Chinese food, Chinese flavors, and I would never pass up Mexican food as well. I love Mexican food. So those are probably my two favorite things. Random fact, I eat a lot of mussels.
You really do. It's a disproportionate amount of mussels.
I do love mussels. I love anchovies. I do like kind of like strong flavors.
Yeah.
And I love seafood.
Things from the sea.
Yeah. Do we like coffee? I love coffee.
I never drink coffee.
Maggie doesn't drink coffee.
I drink a lot of chai.
If you saw how much energy Maggie wakes up with in the morning, you would not want her to have caffeine either, or coffee.
It's like, is it Ice Age, where the little like hyperactive, is it a squirrel? No, what is it? I can't remember what the they often like, they give it coffee at one point and everything just like slows down. It's like, whoa, I feel like that's probably
one time you accidentally had a coffee because they made you a coffee instead of a chai. That was a long day.
Yeah, for you. Yeah. For me, it went by like that. It's like, I got so much done.
I start the day with a black coffee, generally a pour over or AeroPress. Love my coffee, and I have a coffee subscription, which has been amazing during lockdown. Just have my coffee delivered, which is great. And in Melbourne, big fans of coffee in Melbourne. Great coffee in Melbourne.
Espresso.
Yeah.
That shot. Yeah.
Do we always play the same player colours? Yes. So we've spoken about this. Yeah. I would prefer black or purple.
I'll usually play yellow.
Or orange, generally.
Or orange, yes.
And so Mirko is actually from the Canary Islands. Did you know there's a strong connection with Venezuela there?
I didn't, but I did have friends who were from, like one of my mom's best friends was from the Canary Islands. One of my really, really good friends now lives in the Canary Islands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and her family was from Spain.
I think Mirko lives in France now, but is originally from the Canary Islands.
Yeah, right.
Have we ever played a game that we didn't like at first and then really liked?
Probably. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm trying to think what it could be, one of the recent ones. I definitely feel like there's been games where like, and then the more you play, the more you're like, oh, wait.
I would have to say Roads and Boats was one for me because the longer that stayed in our collection, the more I really enjoy it and appreciate it. At the beginning, I was like, this is fiddly and ugly. And like, I am not going to like this game.
But it's like...
And then it's like an endearing thing.
It's like endearing ugly now to me. I'm going to say really actually Pax Pamir. That was not love at first sight at all for
I agree. Well, the theme wasn't really something that we'd normally be into.
Yeah. And I think it was as we got into it more, I was like, okay, I get it. I still wouldn't rate it as one of my favorites because it is, like, to me, it feels like chess at 6 different levels. which I'm not a big fan of chess, but I was able to then appreciate it as we played more and more.
Yeah. So definitely there are games that have grown on us, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, the more you play. And that's why we like to play games more than once or twice, especially if we're reviewing a game. We play it at least 5 times, usually more like 10 times, because it's just, the way that your feelings change towards a game.
And you also don't know where you're going to have
where it pieces out.
This got better, and then you're like, oh, and then it just sort of stayed there, or then it got worse after that. So I feel like some games have a peak.
Yeah.
And then...
Definitely. Wow. We have so many questions. I don't know how long we've been talking for.
Not rapid fire.
A long time. This is not rapid fire at all. And we still got more. Okay. Tim says, I spy pret-a-porter on your shelf stored vertically. Do you always store vertically, and doesn't everything go everywhere? Yes and yes.
No, but we also do have
we do
the
store
stuff that's
some
on the floors, and there are some stuff that's on cupboards.
The piles are stored horizontally.
Yeah, they're stored horizontal. But I completely agree. It is annoying.
It's a mess
when you it can go everywhere.
Yeah. And so yes, if we open that box, no doubt everything is at the bottom of the box, and it's going to be super annoying. But we are in the process of kind of planning for putting a proper shelving solution together, which we've been doing for a while during lockdown. So I'm open to ideas about which way to store. I would still prefer to store them vertically. I think it's just because I like the look of it. It looks like a bookshelf.
I'm not married to either, but I do see that there is.
But then if you store them horizontally, they have to be on top of each other. And if you want to get the bottom one out...
Unless you've got that solution that we looked at. Of the
but if you don't,
solution.
But if you need to drag out the game.
I also kind of like when they're stored vertically, it's kind of like, it's a proper library.
Yeah,
it's
that's what I mean. It feels like, it looks like books.
Yeah.
Stay
Which you
tuned
don't really
on that.
get when they're,
What we need to do is actually
pros and cons for both.
We need to get good inserts for our games so that everything stays in place.
So that then every layer is just packing everything else in.
Which actually brings me to my next question, like that segue.
Yeah.
Emma asked, do you upgrade your game components? Is that something that you like, Maggie, for the theme and immersion?
Yeah, I definitely love deluxe components or the nicer because they make me feel more, they take me into the world of the game a lot easier and quicker. I have found I've slowed down with the metal coins because now I feel like I love metal coins, but I'll almost just like any one set of metal coins will do for me. That's like Themer blasphemy. But yeah, it's like if it's particularly if it's basic denominations, like if it's a 1, 5, 10s, 50s or things like that. It's like So I probably, and they're always so expensive. They're heavy to ship.
Yeah, and Emma was saying that they like them but don't upgrade because it's expensive. And that's what we find as well. I actually love a deluxe component, and that comes from being a collector more than the immersion side of things. So I love like Kickstarter exclusive deluxe components, and I just love when I also love sharing games with other people, and so anything that can attract gamers to the table and make it like feel exciting, I'm huge on that.
Well, if you think about that, like games are essentially toys. Like that's like it's reminding you of that joy of as a kid, you know, you're playing with these tactile things, and it makes sense that the more tactile, the more it can kind of bring you into that world, and the more of its job as a toy it will be doing.
And actually one of my new goals is to deluxify our favorite games. So what I really want to do, normally we don't go and buy like, what do you call it when it's like kind of not by the company, just like aftermarket kind of deluxified components.
Third party, I guess, third party components.
Yeah, and we don't have a lot of, the...
like folded
space? Am I losing all of my words?
It's like words. What are words? Are you thinking of like inserts?
We don't have a lot of inserts.
Yeah, I do love inserts. And I love putting them together. I'm staring at there's some just there that I haven't done. Barrage and Brass Birmingham.
The folded space ones. Yeah.
Yes. So like they're still in my but it's just because we have so many things.
And it is expensive, so we want to do it for our favorite games, but probably not every game. Thank you for the question. Frank asks, Maggie, do you cheat in solo games?
Actually, that's a good question. I don't usually, like, I'm not going to be like, well, let's say that I do this. Or, 'cause there is a temptation of kind of going, because now you know what's going to happen to kind of take. But then it's like, well, I'm only cheating myself. The only times where I'll say that I'll cheat is if I'm trying to get, like if I'm playing something that I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get into this. And so I might kind of be playing a little bit and be like, oh, how would that, like I might sort of take shortcuts in terms of seeing like how mechanically, oh yeah, so that would go that way. No, it's not really the kind of thing so it's more about deciding if I'm at a point of deciding whether or not I'm going to enjoy a game, meaning I'm going to play more of it or not.
Right. So you're like fast forwarding.
Yeah,
through.
I'll fast forward. Or the only time where I'll cheat sometimes it's if there's some fiddly things of like change 2 for 1 or blah, blah, blah. I might just do like keep track of it in my head, or like do sort of mental maths instead of physically doing the exchange. If it's something minor.
That doesn't sound like cheating.
No, it's not really cheating. It's not really like making things better for me in terms of outcome, because ultimately I don't actually care. Like we'll talk about one of them like here, Sheepy Time, and it's like I don't care how good or bad I am at it. I just want to know what that experience is overall. So it's not for me like I won. It's like no, it's kind of like for me it's genuinely around the journey and understanding the relationship with the game. So it's like if I'm cheating, it's like why? So that I can keep myself like a fake pat on the back? That makes no sense to me.
So you can increase your percentage against yourself?
I don't track it. So Amy tracks all of it. So I don't actually track any of my plays or even like our collective plays, because she tracks everything.
Yeah.
So there would be no.
Sam asks, why do we hate space so much?
That is a great question.
So much. And Sam says only zombies and horror turn them away from games, which I can see why that would.
Yeah.
Why do we hate space so much? It is a good question.
What do you hate space so much? What did space ever do to you?
I don't know. Because I knew this question was coming, and so I've been thinking about it. But I'm just not sure. I think sci-fi in general never appealed to me, but space in and of itself is not really sci-fi, but it tends to be a lot of the setting for science fiction.
Yeah.
And so I've never really gotten into it from that side of things. I think from my perspective, like things that are outside the realm of my everyday life, I find it hard to connect with. Okay. So that's why I'm not a big person for like fiction and that kind of thing. I've never traditionally... Like, I don't have much of an imagination, and I care a lot more about people than I do about things, like the world around me. And that's really bad, because that's why I know nothing about anything. But I care a lot about like interactions with people and what makes people tick.
Yeah.
And so I don't have a strong connection to the natural environment. Yeah. Having said that, I enjoy games that are in like farming and things. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know why it doesn't extend to space.
Well, I'll tell you what my reason is. I have nothing against space by itself. Like I love the concept of the vastness of space and like the universe and galaxies and all of that. Endlessly fascinating. My issue with games that are set in space is that it's usually about conquering space or battling each other or having a space.
So sci-fi.
Yeah, so it's like the spaceship and the like. So that's the bit that I'm like nil interest. So if you're setting, so that's why, like for example, with Terraforming Mars, I don't mind that at all, because it's like a farming game in Mars.
Yeah.
So it's like perfect, no issues with that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we should stop saying that we hate space.
We just hate combat, conquering,
sci-fi.
Yeah. Yeah. Monsters,
and we don't hate it. It's just it's a barrier to getting into a game for us.
Yeah. It's like we just don't resonate.
It's just less interesting.
Yeah.
So thank you, Sam. And last question, and I feel like it's already been an hour.
Oh boy.
Is from Melvin, Melvin's based in Singapore, and asks about our travel-related gaming stories. And that is going to segue into some of the games we have to talk to you about today. But first of all, what is your strongest memory of travel and gaming? I'll start so you can think about it.
Okay.
But I often think about the little games that we have when we're on trains. So when you're trying to play a game on the back of one of the chair in front of you, the little tray.
Yeah.
I always think of that. Or if we're in an airport trying to play a little roll and write while we're waiting for our flight.
Yeah.
I have this really strong memory of being in London and spending the whole day exploring with friends, and then coming back to our Airbnb and just having this huge group play of Welcome To.
Yeah, that was fun.
And like a lot of everyone there hadn't played it before, but it was something that we were just carrying around with us, and it was so easy to teach, and it was just like nice and relaxing at the end of a day.
Yeah.
And then we often travel with our friends, and so we always try and bring a couple of games that everyone can enjoy. So I really like that. I don't know, it's even more memorable than when you're playing games at home, because it's like then it reminds you of the setting that you're in as well.
Well, there's a connection to there's that sense memory. That's one of the things from method acting. It's like you connect the senses, or you connect the thing to the place, to the emotion, to the. So I find, and that actually just calling back to the audiobooks. Now I find that because I'm listening to audiobooks as I walk like around the neighborhood, a lot of the stories and the moments like then link to that place that I was walking past when I heard it. So now I'll be walking past one of those things, and it's almost like, oh, I remember that this is where that thing took place. It's like, no, that's not where that thing took place. This is what I learned it, or where I experienced it. Yeah. But with games, immediately, as you said, that the three that came to mind was Gacha and Clever, playing in airports, like in the little tables in there.
Oh, we also played that in a little cafe in LA one day with a friend. We were waiting for our flight.
Yeah, with a teeny tiny little tiny table. Yeah. So Gacha and Clever is one. The other one is Seven Wonders Duel, because we often would take it on vacation and play it together in like the hotel room or whatever. And the other one, which is a solo one, is Friday. It's okay. I remember taking Friday to like beach type things and just playing it with that in the background, like with the actual like ocean sounds and the sea breeze smell in the background. It's just like so nice.
We also try and go to like local gaming stores wherever we are. So like when I think about, when we went to Toronto together, we went to Snakes and Ladders and we sat there and we played. And
Snakes and Lattes.
Snakes and Lattes. Snakes and Lattes?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
Snakes and Lattes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually now they've got more.
Yeah. It's like a chain now, but that was like one of the first, if not the first.
Yeah. So we've played there, and then in New York we've been to some different gaming stores there, and so like I have a connection of these places
as well.
Of course,
games
Mapleville. I thought that went without saying,
Yeah.
because we always talk about Mapleville and Vegas, but just different places. We always try and pop in. Like in Paris, we went and looked at all the game stores, and we actually like got some Ubers to take us to different game stores. So it becomes almost like a feature of your holiday, which I'm sure a lot of you do as well. When you're in a local neighborhood, try and check out the local game store.
Yeah. Sometimes I went into really dodgy neighborhoods in quest of different stores.
Trying to find different gaming stores.
This does not feel safe.
You know where has an incredible gaming scene is actually Spain, Barcelona.
Has some great stores.
Incredible, huge gaming stores. Oh, obviously everything's in Spanish, which makes it very hard for me. But
I'm like,
Maggie was fine. And it was just incredible to see the range of games. Actually, in Spain, we bought a copy of Goa, which I was super excited about, because that is notoriously a hard game to find. And we picked it up in Barcelona.
So they had that sort of thing like that, their secondhand wall of games.
Amazing.
I've never seen that anywhere. Like here, you wouldn't be able to really find that.
Yeah, in Australia, we don't really have a big, we have only private like secondhand market, not stores. Anyway, let's talk about some games. Okay. So, Melvin, off the back of your question, I thought that it would be a great time to introduce these two games, which are two games that have been in our collection for a little while now, Viña and Fado. Now, I'll start with Fado. Both of these games, I should say, I think we bought in San Sebastian in Spain when we were traveling, because in between eating all the tapas as much as we could eat, we would go to this little almost like kind of a European or Spanish version of a Barnes & Noble. And we would go there and just like immerse ourselves in the board game section and come across these little games.
That was great,
we had been to Portugal and had experienced Fado, which is this incredible opera-like music, which usually involves one guitarist and then a singer.
One very passionate singer. So it's almost
very
like
emotional,
very angsty, and Fado actually refers to like fate or destiny. And so a lot of it is around, it's like, to me, when I remember sort of sitting there and experiencing it, it's like, this is like a South American soap opera in a song, because they're just so full of angst and drama, but it's just this one singer and usually just the one guitarist.
It's so incredible.
Very powerful.
So when we were in Porto in Portugal, we went to this Fado and saw this woman perform, and it was just in this back alley in this this bar with a glass of port, watching, and just all you do is just sit there, sip on your drink, and listen to this incredibly emotional music, and it was so powerful. And then we discovered this little card game called Fado, which is obviously that is the theme of this game, and this is a really cute. And if you can get your hands on it, highly recommend this game. Set collection game. It is basically you have a hand of cards and you're trying to create little sets. And the way that you can make these sets is to play essentially 3 of a kind. And the of a kind refers to different suits or elements of each of the cards. So the cards are all of the singers, and you will have either a symbol that you need to match, the color of the card, the singer themselves, so the image of the singer, or the number of the card. So there are 4 different elements that you can match, and you're trying to create sets of 3. When you do create a set of 3, you play that down in front of you and you get to take a scoring marker. And as you see in lots of different games, the scoring markers are all ordered from the highest amount of points to the lowest amount. So the first person is going to be rewarded more for getting the first set of numbers, for example. And if someone's taken that one, you might want to swap to getting, sets of color so that you can get higher points over here. The other complicating factor in this is you have a 2x5 grid of cards that is in the center of the player area. And at any time, you can use the 2 cards that are at the bottom of that tower to play into a set from your hand, which means you only need 2 of a kind to play with that third card to be able to make a set, which means that you're constant. And what happens is when someone uses it, it moves to the top of the stack of cards, which means that you're always keeping an eye out for how those cards are moving down and what's going to be available soon. And that one little mechanic makes for a really interesting little game because another thing that I love about this game is when you create a set of 3 from your hand, so when you put down 3 matching cards from your hand, you get to pick one back up. And on your turn, you can put down multiple sets, which means if you time it correctly, you can pull off a large number of combos by always pulling one back into your hand. So you use, a blue card to make a 3 set of blue. You pull one back, which has a symbol on it that you need to make a set of symbols, and then you play that down, and then you're gathering all of these scoring tokens in one go. And then there's also combos that you get for once you have 4 of one type of
one of the token types.
One of the token types. Or if you have a variety, so one of each of the types of sets.
So it's like set collection about the collected sets that you've been collecting. And
and it's just, it moves really quickly. It's quite enjoyable at 2. I think it would be even better with more players.
Yeah, I agree. Higher player count would
but
be fun.
I just think it's really clever and cute, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. From a thematic point, I enjoy the theme. You don't really get the angst of it.
No, but the illustrations.
The illustrations are great. And I have to say, in the background of it, and I was mentioning this to Amy, and I was like, what? I didn't see that at all. The background of the singers, you actually see the audience that's sitting there, and they've got, it's got different kind of audience members, but one of them is just has a glass of wine and the empty plate of food, and I'm like, that just took me right back to being in that small bar where you just have a couple of tapas and you've got a drink going and you're just listening to this performer. So I enjoy it from that. Yeah, it is quite an abstract little set collection game, but absolutely fun little one.
It says 3 to 4 on the box. You can play it at 2, and the 2-player variant is not at all difficult to implement. So, I don't know how easy it is to get this game, but it's certainly a little gem that we found while we were away. Yeah. Something funny is when I opened the box to revisit this game, I found this Barcelona magnet hiding inside, and this is just showing you the connection of games to travel, right? Because this Barcelona magnet was given to us by the owner of a restaurant in Barcelona who owned a Taiwanese restaurant and was probably quite surprised to find some Australians like in Barcelona.
He was very sweet.
Eating at a Taiwanese restaurant because we'd had so much Spanish food that, I love Asian food. I was like, I need to have some Asian food. And so he'd given us this and I'd put it in the box. So that was a nice little surprise. So that is Fado. The other little game that we bought on that same trip
La Viña.
was La Viña. La Viña is...
I'll talk about the theme.
Oh, yeah, you can talk about the theme.
La Viña. And you are all playing as different potential people to inherit this vineyard because your, I guess your relative has passed away and has left this behind. And so you have to prove that you are the most efficient, what do you call it? I don't know what the name is for the
vineyard owner.
For a vineyard owner. So the one that's going to be the most efficient with the grapes and fulfilling orders of getting these grapes.
And so at the start of every game, you're going to be randomizing, I guess, the scoring conditions, which relate to different types of wines that you're trying to make. And there's this parks path that kind of acts like a rondelle, but it's not really a rondelle. It's just this path that you're all going to travel along with worker placement spots. And it's the case that the person who's coming last will always go first again. So you can either move rapidly through this path and pick up all the goodies, or you can stay behind and get more opportunities to pick up the types of grapes that nobody else wanted. And what you're going to be doing is trying to pick these grapes and put them into your buckets, which have a limit of 2 or 3 cards. You can also upgrade your buckets. And then you're going to be looking out for the score that you need to fulfill each of these scoring conditions. When you do so, you'll be able to barrel that wine and
I don't think it's technically wine. I think it's just because I don't think you're actually ever turn it into wine. I think it's actually
What's
just
the barrels?
Oh yeah, that's true. Unless maybe it's not clear. But yeah, maybe.
I think you're putting the grapes into barrels and putting them into storage.
Okay. Yeah, all right. You're selling them because I talk about like amounts of grapes. Anyways, I'm getting distracted.
I mean, who am I to explain the theme to you?
I don't know. I'm saying, well, there's a thematic gap there where I don't know that it's been turned into wine.
No, we're putting the grapes
Not
into
relevant
barrels.
to the game explanation.
Grapes into barrels. Yeah. Going into the cellar.
Yeah.
And there's different types of wines, of course, that you're trying to produce, which need different types of grapes.
Yeah.
And there's a few like conditions around what you can put into the barrel in terms of mixing grapes, which I'm sure you can't do in real life. And then the person who has the most victory points by fulfilling these orders is going to win the game. And what's interesting about this game is it's tiny, tiny box. Takes up a lot of table space.
It spreads out to quite kind of mini Euro-y.
And we had tried to play this game on a little tray on a train.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it, but not very successfully.
No, it was challenging.
Tricky.
Yes.
But what is really cute about this game is when you're moving along those worker placement spots, the grapes are stacked on top of each other. So you can only take the top grape unless you have a special tool, and you can collect little tools that allow you to break the rules of the game as well. This is one that I enjoy at 2 players. I suspect it would be much better at a higher player count because of the fact that people are jumping ahead of you and taking, like any good worker placement game, it's better with more players.
That's more tension.
So yeah, it would add more tension for sure. But this is another.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I feel like it's managed to capture quite a lot of like a Euro-y feel into a very, very small box. Because even Parks, like the box for Parks is bigger than this.
Oh yeah,
they probably have a similar table size in terms of the.
Yeah, a lot of game in here. But yeah, I do feel like it would be better because it's 2 to 5 players. I think it would be a very different game at 5 players.
And it's still a fairly simple game, but it's got a lot of nice little Euro-y moments.
So that is La Viña by Devere Games.
Yeah.
And the next one is not here.
We don't have a box.
We don't have a box because we played it in its prototype.
Put the box here.
Yeah. Thank you, future Maggie. We played it in its prototype form, and of course then we had to pass the prototype on to some other content creators. But we really enjoyed checking out Steam Up, which is a game that's coming to Kickstarter very soon. And it's by Hot Banana Games. And these 2 women have created this highly thematic game.
So beautiful.
That represents the experience of having dim sum or going to Yum Cha.
Having dumplings.
And This theme, even though, you know, I tend to care less about theme, this theme is really near and dear to me. My mum is Chinese from Hong Kong, and I grew up having yum cha, and every time we go and see her, we always go out for yum cha. So it was fantastic to see that really faithfully represented in this game. So in the center of the board, you have the lazy Susan, which spins around, and then you've got the bamboo trays that contain each of, or the steamers.
The little baskets.
Yeah, that contain each of the dumplings, which just reminds me of being in Hong Kong and that experience. A side note, in Hong Kong, having yum cha, when it's just incredible when they come around, they pour the tea. They pour the tea over the top of you, and so there's just streams of boiling hot water going over, and they hit the you know, your
amazing was it
accuracy, but you don't want to move because you're already cramped in, like it's so busy, and then you've got boiling hot water coming over to fill up your teacup. Anyway, I digress. But in this game, it is really about collecting resources. So on your turn, you're going to be able to do a few basic actions. You're going to be able to collect resources. You're going to be able to collect fortune cards, which have like different actions that you can take when you play them. You can also play those same cards. You can exchange those cards for resources, and you also get the opportunity to move the table around because what you're going to be ultimately doing is using the resources that you're collecting, trading them in to take a tray of little dumplings, and you have what you can see there is, you know, foods that you can normally get at yum cha. There's chicken feet, there's har gao and siu mai.
Barbecue pork bun.
And so
shrimp,
you're
dumpling.
You'll be taking those, the whole basket when you exchange the tokens, and then putting those dumplings on the appropriate place on your player mat, which is going to give you victory points for the end of the game. And they start out, generally speaking, they start lower, and the more of one type of dumpling you get, the greater number of points that you get. And I think they're called hearty points.
It's about getting very fulfilled and satisfied with your from your delicious meal.
There's also fate cards that happen between each round, so it's like an event card that happens that changes the game state in some way. But the main thing that you're trying to do is really get as many dumplings as possible, while also trying to disrupt your opponent's plans by shifting the lazy Susan around. Because if you can clock that they're about to take a basket because they've got the right resources, you could just shift it around because you can only take the baskets from your corner of the lazy Susan. And I just think that's really clever. I think that's really, really cute. The other thing is I really like the so if you know anyone probably understands this design, I love that the first player token has this little bowl which is chili oil in a bowl like this, and I just love that connection. My mum gave me this entire set for our housewarming gift because you know every kind of Chinese household needs to have a set of these, but so that is represented in the game.
I should say it's not. This is not the actual piece from the game. In the game, it's just a piece of cardboard.
This is mine. Please don't take this.
This is the actual thing that it's representing. But it looks exactly the same in terms of the image.
It does, But we played a prototype, so we're not sure about the final components that will hit the Kickstarter campaign. What we do know is we believe that the little dim sum themselves are actually going to be squishy. I have heard a rumor that they're going to be squishy.
But even because obviously the copy that we played was 3D printed, even that copy, like it was beautiful. Like I think by far the biggest thing with this game is just its table presence. The other thing that I really appreciate is throughout the rule book, there's so much information and all that flavor text about the kind of the cultural background or even like etiquette of like at dim sum, like how you like at yum cha, for example, if you're eating dim sum, what you should be doing or you wouldn't be doing. So like I really appreciated all of that because it wasn't a theme that was just kind of picked randomly and then just plastered on. It was like everything about it was really kind of beautifully thought out. And it's a fairly straightforward game in terms of like this is something that you can play with family, with kids.
It's definitely at the lighter end of the spectrum. So I should also say each of the player boards do have an asymmetric player power. They're all fairly simple. We were playing for the most part with the more advanced version of that, but even those are relatively simple. It's probably one of the lighter games that we have played in the last 12 months. So just bear that in mind when you are evaluating the Kickstarter and whether it's right for you. it is a light experience, but there is no denying the table presence and as I said, the thought that went into recreating it culturally in a culturally sensitive way, and being faithful to what is dim sum. So
you can feel that, like I could feel the love for the theme, like in the elements and how those things kind of came together.
Yeah, absolutely. I just the bamboo steamers, they just get
so
me.
Good.
It's so good.
Yeah,
so good. So that is our Steam upcoming soon to Kickstarter. So keep an eye out for that.
Next one. So the next one is a game called Surrealist Dinner Party. So this game, this is a really interesting one because you are the host of a dinner where you're bringing your guests are all these different surrealist artists, and they all have their quirks. The artwork in this is beautiful. It's mostly card based because all your guests are different cards, and they all have different appetites or things that they are wanting to be fulfilled and leave your dinner satisfied. So with this one, you're going to be doing, like, when it's your turn, you're going to have a couple of different options. You've got the tray. You have the whole way the game is structured is through all the different meals throughout the night. So you start
the menu progression.
you have the menu progression of what's going to be served.
I really liked that about it because it's like, oh, now we're having hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah, so you start out with, your wines, and then you have like your entrees and then your main course. And obviously all the different, and the menu will dictate what type of token is going to be served on this central literal silver platter, which is really cool as well to have. Yeah. And so in terms of the options that you have, you can either serve one of your guests from the silver platter if that's one of the things that they're wanting to consume, or you can start some drama, which is hilarious, or give compliments, which is you start with one of your guests and you either use if it's drama, it's the little black tokens, if it's compliments, it's the yellow tokens, and usually you'll have to allocate one to your own guest and then one of their neighbors. And the neighbor can be one of the ones that are already, that are essentially another one of your guests, or it can be whoever's next to them with the opponent. So if Amy's next to me and, she's got one of her guests there, I might want to start some drama if I see that drama is not one of the things that she wants, because it starts occupying some of her spots and getting in the way. Ultimately, you want to be able to send those guests home satisfied, or as satisfied as possible, because everything that you match in terms of their appetites, you'll be able to stash or keep those little tokens. And at the end of the round, or at the end of the game, you are going to be the winners, whoever has the most tokens. There are going to be some also there's like the advanced the faux pas cards, which give you more like different objectives or different things to aim for.
Which you can race for, and the first person who gets them gets some more victory points or stashes some more items.
Or whoever has the most of X by the end of the game will get additional.
Should also say that each of the cards do have a power, and sometimes that power can affect other players negatively, or it can benefit yourself. And so where you actually place the card down does matter, because the adjacencies to other types of cards is important. And so that's really fun. Some of the cards are harder to achieve than others. But ultimately, you're just trying to clear through as many guests. And I like this idea of you don't want your guests lingering too long. So we need to get them out the door and stash those items. Yeah.
And it's always about how you do the seating arrangement. Make sure that you do it smartly. Seat your guests, next to the right people where they're going to be getting along. Or if they love drama, then it's like you want to have the two people that love drama next to each other, so they can kind of drama the night away. The illustrations throughout it all are beautiful.
Incredible. Yeah.
There's a little extra booklet of with almost additional information.
I love that more than you, actually. I was sitting there, I was like, oh, tell me more about this artist. And I was just like, did you know? Reading through, and it was really fun.
Yeah, so this is a fun little game. It plays fairly quickly. It doesn't really take that long.
No, definitely a filler. It's definitely very light.
Yeah. But I can see playing this particularly with friends that love art. Or it's just a great icebreaker.
Yeah, so
Surrealist Dinner Party.
And the last game today is a game called Sheepy Time by AEG. We had a lot of fun with this one.
So cute. Yeah, I love the artwork in this one. And I love the theme.
Well, do you want to talk about the theme?
Sure. So in Sheepy Time, you are playing as the sheep that, you know, the sheep that you count when you're trying to fall asleep. So you're those sheep. And the aim of it is to be able to have the longest dream or sleep without being woken up, usually by a nightmare. So you're going to be trying to move your way around the, what would you call that? Sort of like the little round
It's like
counter?
a little rondel, but it's like, it's only 10 steps. And you're trying to, every time you get past the 10 steps, you're jumping the fence. Which is cute.
Yeah. And you're always going to be in this sort of race or trying to stay away from the nightmare that's moving along that can scare you, which means that then you can go, ugh, and then you fold sideways. But then if you get scared again by the nightmare, or if the nightmare manages to complete the full round, you wake up. And so what happens is when, you know, if the whole idea is every time you're able to kind of do that, every time you jump that fence, you're getting these wink points, which is sort of extending. It's how many, I imagine it sort of reflects to how many hours of sleep or the quality or the length of your sleep. And then that kind of gets translated to pillow points that are kind of work their way backwards. And
this is the thing that I really like about this game. There are a couple of mechanical elements that are just brilliant here. The one that Maggie was talking about is that in each round of the game, you are collecting essentially victory points, but those victory points are being translated into a reduction in the number of victory points that you need to win in the following round. So the first few rounds, the points, you're going to be resetting back to 0, but you're trying to get as far as possible because that's going to reduce the number that you need to win, which means that the win condition is going to be different for different players depending on how hard they've worked in previous rounds of the game. Really, really clever. I really love that. The other thing I love about this game is it's all about push your luck. And we don't have very many or many games that have push your luck, and this is a pure really push your luck game because that nightmare is going to be moving around from 1 through to 10. As soon as it gets through that, everybody is going to wake up. And so what you're trying to do is do as many laps as you can. You're going to try and jump that fence as many times as you can, because every time you jump that fence, you're going to get 5 wink points or victory points that are either going to help you win the game in one of the later rounds or reduce that end game condition. So every time you're thinking, can I get through one more time before this nightmare finishes, either wakes me up by scaring me or gets all the way through the round. And so you're kind of debating that on your turn. All you're going to be doing is playing a card from your hand, which tells you the number of steps that you're allowed to take. And what's really cool is that there are these different worker placement spots that are created through the use of the, what are they called?
Well, you're catching Z's. There's like... So
but the things that slot into the board.
Oh, it's like the dream tiles.
The dream tiles. Will have a special power that will either help you accelerate forward or do something special. And to use those, you need to have banked up these Z's that Maggie was talking about. So the cards that you're playing from your hand have 2 purposes. They either help you move or they help you create Z's to be able to use these special powers on the different spots where you're stopping along the way. I think I enjoyed this game more than you.
Well, because it's quite abstract. Like it's sort of numbers essentially.
I don't think it's very abstract.
Well,
I think it's really tied in with the theme. I think it's really cute.
Yeah, I guess it's just the push your luck element that is you don't necessarily know what. Obviously, you don't know what cards you're going to get, and you don't know at what point. So you're having to make a call. You're having to make a call and decision of when you cross that fence. Go, okay, I'm gonna take myself out for now, because what happens is if you take yourself out, like if you stop and the game sort of ends, then you get a lot more points than if you were woken up. If you've just kept going and going and going and the nightmare managed to cross, then you get penalized.
Or you get scared and you wake up.
Or you get scared and wake up again, like you get kind of penalized. So there's that element. But I think for me, the reason I don't enjoy it more, because it's more just like, I guess it's just more the math.
I feel like you just don't like push your luck.
Well, yeah, but it's also just like the puzzle. In terms of the puzzle, it's just like this math element of like, okay, there's, how many steps am I going to be able to go there? There's also, I'm not good at reading and trying to harness those tiles. So there's a lot of like, along the way. And so that I find that I struggle with cards as well. When you have cards that have special abilities and things like that, I'm too impatient. So I'll often just completely ignore those things unless there's one that really stands out to me. And again, because of that, it's like, to me, it ends up being just more about the numbers and making it through rather than like, you know, I don't know, like the theme. It is cute. You do kind of feel like, you're running away from the nightmare and that sort of thing. But I think
for what it is, which is a 30 to 45 minute game, I feel like it is just really cute and clever.
Absolutely.
Like for what it is, there's a couple of elements here that just make for a really fun push your luck game. I like the fact that you can actually change the nightmare, which changes the difficulty level of the game.
3 different nightmares.
Yes, there's 3 different nightmares, and the nightmares are shuffled into the deck. So when you are pulling a card, replenishing your hand, you don't know if it's going to be just a regular card, which is great, you can use it next time, or as soon as someone reveals a nightmare card, then the nightmare moves forward. Yeah. It causes a whole heap of disruption if it it scares players along the way and that kind of thing. And I just find that fun. I find that fun in general. It's not a game that's like you can be hugely strategic. It's just about like that, should I go one more round or not? That is like the tension in the game.
Can I make it?
Can I make it?
Which again, like, if you do try for it, like it's luck dependent. You might get really unlucky and get a couple of nightmare cards in a row that just completely ruin your plans, or you might get super lucky and be like, have a great fun run with it.
It is, I know you weren't reading the dream tiles as much as I was, but it was also really satisfying to pull off a combo if you like land on one of those and then be able to like fast forward yourself like 6 steps or 7 steps or something and then just get another lap in. I did find it quite a lot of fun, and definitely I think it has a place in our collection because we don't have push your luck. You played it solo as well.
I played it solo. The solo I found so hard. This punished me. Like, this was so much harder than playing against you because of the way the solo is implemented. It's super punishing in terms of how you get points. Usually, like when you play 2-player, off the top of my head, I think it's like at the end of a round, whoever came first gets to move their pillow back. I think it's like 8 points from memory.
In a 2-player
and
game.
The second person, 5 movements. With the solo, at the end of that round, for every 5 winks that you get to move your pillow once. And then you get penalized for every round, like 5 points, minus 5 points for every round that it took you to finish the game. And then I just found, like, when I was playing, I started playing the solo stuff with the spider nightmare, which is the hardest or the advanced one. My score was in the negatives. I was like, how is this possible? And then when I moved to the easier ones, I was able to get some, again, basic scores. I think I did manage to come into the second level, but it was very tough and punishing. Again, for me, like I think it's a really, really clever implementation of a solo for this puzzle. And if you enjoy the puzzle, like, trying to crack that, I think would be really, really fun. For me, again, because it's not the kind of, like, I don't like push your luck. It's not something that I would choose.
The randomness.
Yeah, I don't like the randomness. That's the only reason why I wouldn't kind of play it more as a solo. But like, I enjoyed it as a multiplayer.
Yeah.
But as the solo, if you like this type of puzzle, I would say check it out.
Yeah, I think this is a really fun one that I would like take to work or play with our friends that are kind of more into like the cutesiness. Such a cute theme and such a cute, like, everything about it, like the illustrations, the little sheepy, the little, like, the fence, it's just not abstract at all. What are you talking about? Not abstract.
That's not what makes it abstract or not. It's like the game.
I was just saying it's not abstract. So that is Sheepy Time by AEG. So that is everything that we have for you for this episode of Small Talk. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching us every Monday. We really love sharing this time with you. And I want to say a special thank you to everyone that sent us a postcard and all of our Joey fam or our channel members. Thank you so much for supporting us each and every month. It really means a lot to us and is going to enable some soon equipment upgrades, which we're really excited about to make these videos even better for all of you. So thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back with Back Chat next week and more game reviews soon. But otherwise, bye for now.
Bye.